The moment we've all been waiting for, Ghislaine Maxwell has been found guilty, and I want to talk about it. And first things first, I must say a big shout out to the big man upstairs, the big G God, who I have said in previous videos, I believe is really delivering justice for so many different people in so many situations in the world where people thought they were going to get away with things, and he was like, no, I just let you think you was going to get away with it, and now I'm going to step in. And that's kind of where I feel like we're at now, where God is just coming in with a force. And that's why I really believe there's a lot of justice that's being seen for a lot of things that have gone on for a long time that are unacceptable. So I must give him a big shout out. But also, this is a very big moment. I'm going to talk in this video about why this is such a big thing, especially for Ghislaine to actually have been found guilty. Personally, I figured that if the people on the ways and the evils of the world got their way, obviously she would not have been found guilty, because it's not preferable, and I'll kind of discuss that a bit later. But before I get into that, I want to actually read all the counts that she has been found guilty for. She's been found guilty of 5 of the 6 counts. Unfortunately, I don't know what the 6th one that she wasn't found guilty of was, and it was the jury, of course, who made that decision. So she was found guilty for, and I'm just reading: conspiracy to entice individuals under the age of 17 to travel in interstate commerce with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity, maximum 5 years she could get for that. Conspiracy to transport individuals under the age of 17 to travel in interstate commerce with the intent to engage in illegal sexual activity, maximum 5 years for that. So I think she must have got 2 counts for that one then. Transportation of an individual under the age of 17 with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity, maximum 10 years in prison for that one. Conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of individuals under the age of 18, maximum 5 years in prison. And lastly, sex trafficking of an individual under the age of 18, maximum 40 years in prison. Now, before I even get into all of this stuff, it just goes to, first of all, let's just think about how crazy it is, first of all, to me, that some of these crimes, and I've talked about how the justice system is messed up, for transporting an individual under the age of 17 with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity is maximum 10 years, guys. And conspiracy to get what? To transport individuals under the age of 17 to travel into interstate commerce with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity, 5 years only. First of all, guys, that is ridiculous. Let's just start there. Let's just start with how ridiculously low these sentences are. And you're seeing people who are, obviously selling illegal substances and stuff, which, yes, it's the law, they shouldn't do that, getting way more years than that. And they're actually doing something that's consensual. And this is something that I always talk about, because I talk about it because I talk a lot about evil versus good, the evil powers versus God and the difference. And I think it's crazy that even the justice system favors more towards people who engage in unconsensual behavior than people who engage in consensual behavior. Because the way I look at it personally is, yes, it's not good to sell, I don't think it's good that people are selling drugs that are killing people, that are ruining their lives, that are addictives and everything, but people are making the choice themselves. They are consenting to take those things. Whereas on the other side of the coin here, we've got vulnerable children who are being coerced, who are being abused and manipulated, and the crimes for those, you're getting like 5-10 years. When I heard that Ghislaine was guilty on 5 counts, I was thinking she must have one of these crazy like 300-year sentences, when people get these 300-year sentences. But unfortunately, no. And I mean, she's not even looking at 100 years max. I think in an article I read, she's looking at maximum sorry, I feel my throat's really tickly. She's looking at maximum 70 years. And if you think about everything that we know that's been going on, of course she's only getting in trouble for the things they've been able to bring evidence forward. And I talked about in a previous video how there's not really that much evidence available, because these people are trying to hide what's going on and they're trying to avoid it. But let's use that as an opportunity to segue. So I feel like, point one, this justice system is already skewed in favor of the pedophiles, the rapists, and all those crazy people, a lot of whom happen to be high-level people in society, obviously Jeffrey Epstein and things like that. Just to say again, I do not believe that Jeffrey Epstein is dead. I have a whole video about that. And shout out to my subscribers. We've been talking about how we don't really agree with that either. But let's move on to the next point, which is what's going to actually happen now that Ghislaine's been found guilty. Because as I've said in my other videos, I say all the time, that when these evil, sick and twisted weirdos of the world are doing what they're doing, it all works for them because they all make sure that they don't get in trouble and they all don't tell on each other. And as long as we're all not going to jail, as long as we're all not getting in trouble, we can all continue with what we're doing and it's fine. But as soon as one of them actually goes down, and this is part of my theory with Jeffrey Epstein, where I don't think he's actually alive, as soon as one of them he's actually dead, sorry. I don't believe that he's dead, I believe he's alive. Is that once you're not in this veil of this covering of we're all free, but we're all doing things that are disgusting, then it kind of puts people in a position where somebody like Ghislaine can go, well, why should I cover for you guys now? Because I'm looking at 70 years, and I think she's 60 years old. She's looking at 70 years in prison, right? And a lot of them, funnily enough, because they've done whatever to get their rich life and all the sacrifices and the disgusting behaviors they've done, I believe a lot of it is genuinely a part of building the wealth that a lot of them have. They don't want to give that up to now be in a prison cell, less so for these kinds of crimes where we all know, even in the prison systems, the guards, the officers, the govs, as we call them over here, tend to turn their blind eye to stuff like this because they're just as disgusted by these kinds of behaviors. So my question is Ghislaine gonna spin? Now, is Ghislaine gonna spin? Is she gonna now decide that she's going to come all out and explain a lot of stuff? Because I kind of touched on in one of my videos, I talked about Ghislaine Maxwell's dad. I think that video is actually coming out the day after this video. And Ghislaine kind of talked about Ghislaine's dad, and this is where it all gets interesting when you start connecting things together, right? Ghislaine's dad was in competition with the media, with Rupert Murdoch, who's also a big high-level figure in the media. So to me, Ghislaine Maxwell is a bit of an interesting character because I kind of touched on in that video. I wonder how much people are trying to protect her or not protect her, because the likes of people like Rupert Murdoch, who, like I said, was in direct competition with her father. I believe it is Rupert Murdoch. Check that video to quote me correctly, but one of these high-level media mogul kind of people. Then I'm wondering, would they prefer, is this their opportunity to silence her and shut her up, and maybe they've let her go to prison because they know, and when I say they, I'm not just talking about him in particular, I'm talking about the powers that be in general, the elites, whatever you want to call them, which I believe all of them are evil, personally, at this point. I'll say a lot of them because I don't know all of them, but a lot of it is very evil. So I'm wondering, is it that they really know and they're really so powerful and they've really overcome the Maxwells so well that they can actually just put Ghislaine to the side in prison and it'd be fine? Or is this genuinely an outcome that they're going to be concerned about because she could start talking? And the thing is, it's kind of like what I talked about in my R. Kelly video about the fact that, sorry, that was my phone. That was my phone. The thing that I talked about in the, in the R. Kelly video is the fact that now, because R. Kelly's going down, apparently even R. Kelly's been said to be starting to potentially pipe up and speak about other people, because this is what happens, guys. Like, and R. Kelly's another one who's been known historically to be inappropriate. I mean, people have been knowing that he married Aaliyah at 14 years old. She was pregnant by him. And again, it just goes to show you guys, this is why I think these things are really, it's very interesting when people actually get in trouble for it. And this is also why I think they have purposefully tried to put all of these lower sentences, because if somebody gets in serious trouble for this and it's not worth it for them anymore, it gives them all the reason, because everybody who's around has allowed it. Everybody who was there for what went on with R. Kelly allowed it. Everybody who was there for what happened with all the girls of Jeffrey Epstein was around it. They were there and they could speak up, and they probably, a lot of them just got paid off, probably just got paid. That's what I think. I think, for example, with the likes of the Dan Schneiders of the world, who was obviously a producer on Nickelodeon, very sick and twisted man as well, who's also now back into producing. So that just goes to prove my point, doesn't it? Like, even though he's been known to do a lot of inappropriate things and with children, and just his obsession with the feet and the whole foot fetish thing anyway, but he's now on the scene again, even though the likelihood is that how many people were on set when all the stuff was going on with these children, even with Ghislaine and everything. And I connected Ghislaine in one of my videos to Madeleine McCann, there was another girl that I connected her to as well in another video. And it just goes to show you that, you know, these people are really connected, and it's like we've just decided to be completely blind to it. A lot of people are either choosing to be blind to it, or you're involved in some way and you're probably been paid off. And I really believe that's what's happening, because this is the thing, guys, in this day and age, money is a god to people. Money is a god to people, and people will change. People will do crazy things for money. And people will do things that they would never normally do just for money. That's why even this new thing that they've been trying to push everybody to get, what was one of the first things that they started to offer to get people to do it? We'll give you money. Do you see what I mean? We'll give you money, you know? And so it's just concerning me that so many people have let this stuff go on. But more than that, I wonder if Ghislaine is going to start to speak up. I wonder if she's going to have a death in prison moment, a fake death. Maybe that's what they've lined up for her. Maybe they said, look, there's no way we can stop what's happening, so you just go. You might have to go to prison, because apparently even the way she was acting in court seemed really odd. From what I've seen, and I haven't seen enough to comment on it myself. In fact, I really look forward to seeing if any of the body language experts on YouTube do analyze her body language in court. That would be even better than my analysis, I feel. But I am interested to see what's going to happen next. Is she going to spin? If she is this going to be a massive deal? Is she going to be the one to break the news that actually Epstein is alive? You know, and it all gets very technical when you get to prison as well, because it's one thing to have your lawyer and talk to them privately and talk to a lot of people privately when you're outside. Obviously, she's inside now, so she can't really necessarily have the conversations, the kind of secretive conversations she might want to be having. So I'm kind of like, what's really the play here? But I'll be interested. I would be I doubt highly that she's the kind of person who's going to say, I'm just going to wait out the rest of my life in prison. Maybe she is, and if she is, then the rest of the people who are connected to her have gotten off very easy, in my opinion. But if she doesn't make that decision, this could be a very big move, even though Epstein is dead, because she was kind of like, a lot of people would consider her the right hand, you know, the right hand gal. She was somewhat his girlfriend, although in a lot of instances it seems that she wasn't really the girlfriend, more just a close female friend. Really weird. And I'd just like to just touch on in the closing of this video as well. Before I close it, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and don't forget to subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. And don't forget to subscribe as well and like the video. But what I am thinking as well is, and I touched on this in another video about her, is I say that a lot, don't I? I say that a lot. It's because sometimes when I say things, just in case you guys want to hear more about it, I'm just letting you know that there is a whole video where I talked about that. But I talked about the fact that, you know, as a female, it's especially disheartening to me that she was so engaged at such a high level in all of this stuff, because it's like, you were the one here, and a lot of the target audience was young women, you know, for Epstein, from what I've heard. For the majority, I don't know if there's been any young men involved. So again, not to say that it makes a difference in terms of like young, it's just as bad as each other, but just the fact that her being a woman, knowing what it's like to live in this day and age, knowing what it's like that so many people, especially men in terms of us, feel very comfortable to cross the boundaries in terms of consent and ignoring how we feel. It's very, very disappointing that she felt she would actually continue on with this. And I really think this is an important point for us to address, is that let's stop just blaming the men, because there are a lot of women who are involved who are not doing anything either. There are a lot of women who, look at Lynn Spears, look at Lynn Bynes. Isn't it funny how Britney and Amanda's mums both are called Lynn? Really crazy, spelled the same. Also have videos about them. Check out the playlists. You know, there are women involved. You know, even Lucifer Taylor, 75% of her workforce of her big company, Tri Sports Entertainment, are women. So as much as we're talking about the guys, as much as we're blaming the guys for stuff, really and truly, we are involved in this as well. We are the ones also pushing, either pushing, supporting, or just staying silent. And it's not good enough, guys. It's not good enough. And I think we as women, before we start talking so much about the men, we need to also discuss ourselves, because I'm sure a lot of them are looking at us like, well, my wife knows what I'm doing and she's not saying anything, or my sister knows what I'm doing and she's not saying anything, or you know what I mean? And it's not fair. It's not fair. And we as women as well need to actually take some accountability in that area, I do feel. And that's why I think it's important to discuss Ghislaine Maxwell, because what the heck, guys? Like, what the heck? You know? But anyway, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below, like, about this whole Ghislaine thing. Do you think this is real justice? Do you think the justice system is even real anymore? I've said many times I don't even believe it is. I believe it's just all, I don't know what it is at this point. And yeah, let me know if you've enjoyed the video as well. I'd just love to hear if you enjoyed it. Other than that, God bless you all, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.